The rain came down like bullets that Tuesday evening, turning the quiet streets of Maplewood into rivers of rushing water. Lily Rodriguez wiped down the last table at Corner Cafe, her second job of the day. Her feet ached from the morning shift at the grocery store, but she couldn't complain. These two jobs kept food on the table and helped pay for Grandma Rosa's medications. She glanced at the old clock above the coffee machine. 9:30. Time to head home to her small apartment above Mrs. Chen's flower shop. Grandma Rosa would be waiting with her evening tea and stories from the old country. Lightning flashed outside, followed by a rumble of thunder that shook the cafe windows. Lily grabbed her thin jacket and purse, switching off the lights one by one. The cafe felt cozy and warm, a sharp contrast to the storm raging outside. As she stepped toward the front door, something caught her eye through the rain-streaked glass. A dark shape lay crumpled on the sidewalk, barely visible under the flickering streetlight. At first she thought it might be a pile of clothes someone had dropped, but then she saw it move slightly. Her heart jumped. Someone was out there. Lily rushed outside, the cold rain immediately soaking through her jacket. She ran to the figure and gasped. It was a man, probably in his early 30s, wearing what looked like an expensive suit that was now completely drenched. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead and his eyes were closed. She could see a small cut above his left eyebrow. Sir, are you okay? She knelt beside him, not caring that the wet pavement was soaking through her jeans. The man's eyes fluttered open. They were a deep brown, confused and unfocused. What happened? His voice was weak, barely audible over the rain. You're hurt, Lily said gently. Can you sit up? We need to get you out of this rain. With her help, he managed to sit up, though he winced and touched his head. I think I fell, he said, looking around as if he didn't recognize where he was. My head? It's pounding. Come on, Lily said, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. Let's get you inside. She helped him to his feet, surprised by how tall he was. Even in his weakened state, she could tell he was well built, though right now he was shivering like a leaf. They stumbled back to the cafe and Lily quickly unlocked the door. Inside, she guided him to a chair and immediately went to turn the heat back on. The man sat there dripping on her clean floor, looking lost and vulnerable. His expensive clothes were ruined, and she noticed his phone lying on the table where he'd apparently placed it. The screen was completely cracked, probably from the fall. What's your name? She asked, grabbing a clean towel from behind the counter. Alex, he said after a moment, as if he had to think about it. Alex, I think I hit my head pretty hard. Everything's a bit fuzzy. Okay, Alex, I'm Lily. She handed him the towel. Do you remember what happened? Were you walking somewhere? Alex dried his face and hair, still looking confused. I was upset about something. Work, I think. I remember leaving a building and just walking. Then the rain started and I was running and then... He gestured vaguely. I must have slipped on the sidewalk. Lily studied his face with concern. The cut on his forehead wasn't too deep, but head injuries were serious business. We should probably get you to a hospital. You might have a concussion. No, Alex said quickly, then softer. No hospitals, please. I just need to rest for a bit. I'll be fine. There was something in his voice, a kind of exhaustion that went deeper than just the fall. Lily recognized that feeling. She'd felt it herself many times, working 2 jobs and caring for her grandmother, while trying to save money for her dream of opening a small bakery. Okay, she said, though she wasn't entirely comfortable with the idea. But you're soaked to the bone and you're shivering. You'll catch pneumonia in those wet clothes. She disappeared into the back room and returned with a plastic bag. I keep some of my grandfather's old clothes here for emergencies. He passed away last year, but... She stopped, not wanting to burden this stranger with her family history. They should fit you well enough. Alex looked at the bag, then at her. You don't even know me. Why are you helping me? The question caught Lily off guard. She'd never really thought about it that way. Helping people in need just felt natural to her. Because you need help, she said simply. And because my grandmother always taught me that we're all just walking each other home in this life. Something in Alex's expression softened at those words. He took the bag gratefully. Thank you. While Alex changed in the small bathroom, Lily called upstairs to her apartment. Grandma Rosa, it's me. I'm going to be a little late. I'm helping someone who got hurt in the rain. Yes, I'm being careful. No, he seems like a good person. Okay, I love you too. When Alex emerged, he looked completely different. Gone was the expensive suit, replaced by her grandfather's old cardigan and comfortable pants. He looked younger somehow, less formal, more human. The clothes were a bit loose on him, but they were warm and dry. "Better?" Lily asked. "Much better. Thank you." Alex sat back down, moving carefully. "Your grandfather had good taste in sweaters." "He was a good man," Lily said, starting to make some tea. "He worked at the factory for 40 years, never missed a day. Even when he was sick, he'd say, 'Lily, a man's word is all he really has in this world.'" She brought Alex a steaming mug of chamomile tea and noticed he was studying the cafe with interest. It wasn't much to look at. Mismatched furniture, faded paint on the walls, and a coffee machine that was older than Lily herself. But it was clean and welcoming, filled with the warmth of countless conversations and community gatherings. "This is a nice place," Alex said, sipping his tea. "Feels like home." "It's not mine," Lily explained. "I just work here. But Mr. Patterson, the owner, he's like family. He gave me this job when I really needed it, even though I had no experience making coffee." She laughed softly. "I burned so much milk in the first week I thought he'd fire me for sure. But he didn't. No, he said everyone deserves a chance to learn. That's the kind of neighborhood this is. People look out for each other." Alex was quiet for a moment, looking out at the rain. "I'd forgotten places like this still existed." "What do you mean?" "Places where people care about each other. Where kindness isn't complicated." He turned back to her. "What you're doing right now, helping a complete stranger? Most people would have just called 911 and kept walking." "Maybe," Lily said, settling into the chair across from him. "But I don't think that's true. I think most people want to help. They just get scared or busy and forget how." The rain continued drumming against the windows, creating a cocoon of warmth around them. Alex finished his tea and seemed steadier now, though Lily noticed he still looked pale. "You should eat something," she said. "I have some leftover soup upstairs. My grandmother makes the best chicken soup in the world. It's basically medicine in a bowl. I don't want to impose." "You're not imposing. Besides, Grandma Rosa always makes too much. She still cooks like she's feeding a family of 10 instead of just the two of us." Lily stood up. "Come on, let's get some real food in you and then you can rest. You still look a little shaky." As they prepared to head upstairs, Alex caught her hand gently. "Lily, I want you to know, whatever happens, I won't forget this kindness. Not many people would do what you're doing." In that moment, looking into his sincere brown eyes, Lily felt something shift in her chest, something warm and unexpected. She didn't know anything about this man beyond his name, but she could see something good in him. Something worth saving. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Alex," she said softly. "Everyone deserves to be cared for." Neither of them knew that this simple act of kindness would change both their lives forever. 3 days had passed since the storm, and Alex was still sleeping on Lily's small couch. She'd tried several times to convince him to see a doctor about his head injury, but he always found a reason to postpone it. "Tomorrow," he'd say, then help her with something around the apartment or ask Grandma Rosa about her stories from Mexico. On Thursday morning, Lily was rushing to get ready for her early shift at Corner Cafe when she heard a crash from the kitchen. She ran in to find Alex standing over broken pieces of her favorite mug, looking mortified. "I'm so sorry," he said, already reaching for the dustpan. "I was trying to make coffee for you before you left, and I'm not usually this clumsy." "It's okay," Lily said, though her heart sank a little. The mug had been her grandfather's. But seeing Alex's genuinely upset expression, she pushed the sadness aside. "Accidents happen. Besides, you're still recovering. Let me come with you to work today," Alex said suddenly. "I feel useless just sitting here while you take care of everything. Maybe I can help somehow." Lily hesitated. Mr. Patterson was understanding, but bringing a stranger to work seemed unprofessional. On the other hand, Alex had been getting restless, and she could see he was the type of person who needed to feel useful. "Okay," she said finally, "but just to help with basic stuff. And if Mr. Patterson says no, you'll have to leave. Deal?" "Deal." 20 minutes later, they walked into Corner Cafe together. Mr. Patterson, a kind man in his 60s with silver hair and laugh lines around his eyes, looked up from arranging pastries in the display case. "Lily, who's your friend?" he asked with curiosity rather than suspicion. "This is Alex. He's been staying with me for a few days. He got hurt in the storm Tuesday night, and he's offered to help out if you need an extra pair of hands." Mr. Patterson studied Alex for a moment. There was something about the older man's gaze that seemed to see right through people. Alex straightened up, meeting his eyes directly. "I don't have much experience in food service," Alex said honestly, "but I'm willing to learn and work hard. Lily's been incredibly kind to me, and I'd like to give back somehow." "Can you count money and be polite to customers?" Mr. Patterson asked. "Yes, sir." "Then you can start by wiping down tables and taking orders. Lily will show you the register system." "But," he paused, his expression becoming serious, "if you're staying in my cafe, you eat breakfast. Both of you. You can't work on empty stomachs." As the morning rush began, Lily was amazed at how naturally Alex took to the work. He moved efficiently between tables, his polite demeanor and genuine smile charming even the grumpiest early morning customers. When Mrs. Garcia, a regular customer, came in speaking rapid Spanish, Alex responded fluently, making her laugh with what sounded like a joke. "You speak Spanish?" Lily asked during a brief lull. "A little," Alex said modestly, though his conversation with Mrs. Garcia had been quite sophisticated. I traveled a lot for work." By lunchtime, Alex had memorized the entire menu and was making suggestions to customers based on their preferences. When young Tommy Wilson came in with his allowance money, Alex quietly suggested the smaller sandwich option, saying it was the perfect size so the boy could afford both lunch and his usual cookie. "You're good at this," Lily told him as they cleaned up after the lunch rush. "It's different from what I'm used to," Alex said, "but I like it. There's something honest about it. You make something good, people enjoy it, and everyone's happy." That evening, they walked home together through the neighborhood. Alex had been quiet since closing time, and Lily could sense something was troubling him. "You okay?" she asked as they stopped to feed the stray cats behind the flower shop. "Can I ask you something?" Alex said, scratching behind the ears of an orange tabby. "Are you happy? I mean, really happy with your life?" The question caught Lily off guard. "That's kind of a big question," she said, sitting down on the back step. "What do you mean?" Alex sat beside her, watching the cats eat. "You work 2 jobs, you worry about money, you take care of your grandmother. Most people would be stressed and bitter. But you seem genuinely content." Lily was quiet for a moment, thinking. "I guess I am happy," she said finally. "Not every day and not in every moment. But yes, I think I am. I have people I love, work that matters, dreams I'm working toward. What else is there?" "What dreams?" A soft smile crossed Lily's face. "I want to open a small bakery someday. Nothing fancy. Just a place where the neighborhood can gather, where kids can get cookies after school and old folks can sit with their coffee and newspapers. Grandma Rosa has this recipe for tres leches cake that makes people cry. It's so good." "Why haven't you done it yet?" "Money, mostly. And fear, if I'm being honest. What if I fail? What if I'm not as good as I think I am?" She shrugged. "But I'm saving up. Every tip, every extra shift. Someday." Alex was quiet for a long moment. "You will," he said finally. "You'll do it and it'll be amazing." "How can you be so sure?" "Because you care about people. Real business isn't about profit margins or market share. It's about solving problems and making people's lives a little better. You already do that every day." Lily looked at him curiously. "You talk like you know something about business." Alex's expression became guarded. I used to work in an office. Corporate stuff. Nothing as meaningful as this. What happened?" "Why did you leave?" "I didn't exactly leave," Alex said carefully. "I just realized one day that I was living someone else's life, making decisions based on what other people expected, not what I actually wanted. I felt trapped in a world where everything was about appearances and profit, and nobody seemed to care about the things that actually matter." "Like what?" "Like kindness, like community, like knowing your neighbors' names and checking on them during storms." He gestured around the quiet neighborhood. "Like finding joy in simple things instead of always wanting more." They sat in comfortable silence as darkness fell around them. The cats had finished eating and were now grooming themselves contentedly. A light came on in Mrs. Chen's flower shop window, and they could hear Grandma Rosa moving around upstairs, probably preparing her evening tea. "Alex," Lily said softly, "whatever you were running from that night in the rain, maybe you didn't need to run so far." "What do you mean?" "Maybe the problem wasn't the work itself, but how you were doing it. Maybe you just needed to remember what actually mattered to you." Alex turned to look at her, something shifting in his expression. In the soft light from the street lamp, Lily could see vulnerability in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "You know what's funny?" he said. 3 days ago, I would have said that success meant having the biggest office, the most expensive car, the power to make decisions that affected thousands of people. But working in the cafe today, seeing Mrs. Garcia's face when I remembered how she likes her coffee, watching Tommy count his allowance money so carefully, I felt more accomplished than I have in months. Maybe that's because you were actually connecting with people instead of just managing them. Maybe, Alex agreed. Or maybe it's because I was working alongside someone who sees the best in everyone she meets. Their eyes met, and Lily felt that warm flutter in her chest again, stronger this time. There was something building between them, something that felt both exciting and terrifying. "We should go in," she said, suddenly nervous. "Grandma Rosa will be wondering where we are." "Lily," Alex said, catching her hand as she stood up. "Thank you, not just for helping me that night, but for reminding me who I want to be." "You don't have to thank me for that," she said. "You just had to remember. I just happened to be there when you were ready to see it." As they headed upstairs, neither of them noticed the expensive black car that had been parked across the street for the past hour, or the man in the suit who sat inside watching and waiting. Friday morning started like any other day, but Lily could sense something different in the air. Mr. Patterson had called an emergency meeting before the cafe opened, asking all his part-time employees to come in early. Lily arrived with Alex, who had become a regular fixture at Corner Cafe over the past week. "I wonder what this is about," Lily murmured as they unlocked the front door. Alex seemed unusually quiet, and she noticed him checking his broken phone again, something he'd been doing more frequently lately. Mr. Patterson was already inside, sitting at one of the corner tables with papers spread out in front of him. His usually cheerful face looked tired and stressed. Maria, the afternoon shift supervisor, was there too, along with Janet, the weekend baker. "Thanks for coming in early, everyone," Mr. Patterson said as they gathered around. "I'm afraid I have some difficult news." Lily's stomach dropped. In her experience, emergency meetings never brought good news. "I got a call yesterday from Highland Development Corporation," Mr. Patterson continued, his voice heavy. "They've made an offer to buy this entire block. The owner of the building has accepted." The words hit Lily like a punch to the chest. "What does that mean for us?" she asked, though she was afraid she already knew. "It means Corner Cafe will be closing in 60 days, Mr. Patterson said quietly. "Highland is planning to tear down all these old buildings and put up a luxury shopping complex. They say it'll bring more business to the area, but it'll push out everyone who actually lives here," Maria finished bitterly. Lily felt the world spinning around her. This job wasn't just income, it was community, it was family, it was home. "Mr. Patterson, isn't there anything we can do? Can't we fight this somehow?" The older man shook his head sadly. "Highland Development is one of the biggest companies in the state. They have lawyers, politicians, unlimited money. What do we have? A few small business owners and some loyal customers. We have heart," Lily said desperately. "This place matters to people. Mrs. Garcia comes here every morning. Tommy saves his allowance money for cookies here. The book club meets here every Thursday. You can't put a price on that." "I know, sweetheart," Mr. Patterson said gently, "but Highland doesn't see it that way. To them, we're just numbers on a spreadsheet. Old buildings that aren't generating enough revenue per square foot." Alex had been silent throughout this entire conversation, but Lily noticed his face had gone very pale. When she looked at him expecting support or comfort, she found him staring at the floor, his hands clenched into fists. "This is wrong," she said, her voice getting stronger. "These big corporations, they come into neighborhoods like ours and destroy everything that makes them special. They push out families who've been here for generations and replace them with stores that nobody can afford. And for what? So some rich CEO can buy another yacht?" Alex flinched as if she'd slapped him. The meeting broke up with promises to start looking for other jobs and Mr. Patterson assuring everyone he'd give excellent references. But Lily couldn't focus on practical matters. She was too angry, too heartbroken. As they walked home, she ranted about corporate greed and how the wealthy didn't understand or care about regular people's lives. Alex walked beside her in silence, which only made her more upset. "Say something," she finally exploded. "This is important. These people are destroying our neighborhood and you're acting like you don't even care." "I care," Alex said quietly. "Then show it. Get angry. This is your community too now. Or at least I thought it was." Lily stopped walking and faced him, Sometimes I feel like I don't even know you. You never talk about your past. You don't have any friends who call or visit. You won't even see a doctor. Who are you really, Alex? Before Alex could answer, a sleek black car pulled up beside them. The window rolled down, and a woman in an expensive business suit leaned out. "Mr. Harrison?" she called. "Thank goodness we found you. The board meeting is in 2 hours and you have 17 missed calls." Lily's blood went cold. "Mr. Harrison?" Alex closed his eyes as if in physical pain. "Jessica, not now. Sir, with all due respect, Highland Development's acquisition announcement has caused chaos. The stock price is fluctuating wildly, and the investors are demanding answers about the project delays." "You need to— Highland Development?" Lily's voice was barely a whisper. The woman in the car seemed to notice Lily for the first time. "Oh, sir, should I wait in the car while you handle this situation?" "Get out," Lily said to Alex, her voice shaking with rage and betrayal. "Get out of my sight right now. Lily, let me explain." "Explain what?" she shouted, not caring who heard. "Explain how you've been lying to me for over a week? Explain how you're part of the company that's destroying my life, my job, my community. Explain how you sat there this morning and watched me cry about losing everything while you're the one taking it away." Tears were streaming down her face now, but she was too angry to wipe them away. "Is this some kind of sick game to you? Did you think it was funny? Watching the poor girl get attached to you while you planned to bulldoze her world? It wasn't like that," Alex said desperately. "I didn't know about the cafe. I had no idea Highland was targeting this neighborhood. You have to believe me." "Believe you?" Lily laughed bitterly. "You've done nothing but lie to me since the moment we met. Your name isn't even really Alex, is it? It's Alexander Harrison, CEO of Highland Development Corporation. I should have known. No regular office worker has hands that soft or speaks 3 languages or knows how to manage people like you do." "The concussion was real," Alex said weakly. "I really was confused that night. I really did need help." "Oh, poor little rich boy got lost in the wrong neighborhood," Lily said sarcastically. "How tragic for you." "Well, congratulations, Mr. Harrison. You got your little taste of how the other half lives. I hope it was educational." Alex stepped toward her, his face desperate. "Lily, these past few days with you have been the most real, the most honest days of my life. What we have together, that's not fake. That's the only true thing in my world right now." "We don't have anything," Lily said, backing away from him. "We never did. You were slumming it with the locals while planning to evict us. Did you go back to your mansion every night and laugh about the naive girl who actually believed you cared? I never went back. I've been sleeping on your couch, eating your food, living your life because I didn't want to leave. Because for the first time in years I felt like I mattered for who I am, not what I own. Stop." Lily held up her hand. "Just stop talking. Every word out of your mouth is another lie. You want to know what matters? Mrs. Garcia matters. Tommy matters. Mr. Patterson matters. The families who will lose their homes because of your greed, they matter. You're just another rich parasite who takes whatever you want and destroys everything else." The words hit Alex like physical blows. Lily could see the pain in his eyes, but she was too hurt to care. "Sir?" the woman in the car called nervously. "We really do need to go." Alex looked at Lily one more time, his expression broken. "I never meant for this to happen." "But it did happen," Lily said coldly. "And now I know exactly who you really are. So take your fancy car and your board meetings and your development projects and get out of my life. Don't come back to the cafe. Don't come back to this neighborhood. People like us are clearly beneath your notice anyway." Alex climbed into the car without another word. As it drove away, Lily stood alone on the sidewalk, watching her heart break into a million pieces. She'd been falling in love with a man who didn't even exist. The real Alexander Harrison was just another wealthy destroyer, and she'd been fool enough to trust him with everything. The worst part wasn't even the betrayal. The worst part was that she could still remember the way he'd looked at her when she talked about her dreams, like they were the most important things in the world. Had any of that been real, or was she just another entertainment for a bored billionaire? Either way, it didn't matter now. In 60 days, Corner Cafe would be gone. Her job, her community, her dreams, all collateral damage in Alexander Harrison's quest for more profit. And she'd helped him do it by trusting him, by caring for him, by showing him exactly what he was about to destroy. The Highland Development Building gleamed with glass and steel, rising 40 stories above the city like a monument to corporate power. Alexander Harrison sat in his corner office on the top floor, staring out at the view he'd once thought represented success. Now it just felt like a prison. 2 weeks had passed since that horrible afternoon when Lily discovered his identity. 2 weeks since he'd seen the love in her eyes turn to disgust and betrayal. He'd tried to throw himself back into work, but everything felt meaningless. Board meetings, profit reports, acquisition strategies, it all seemed like noise now. "Sir?" His assistant Jessica knocked on the open door. "The Highland Plaza project team is here for the quarterly review." Alex didn't turn from the window. "Cancel it." "Sir, this is the third meeting you've canceled this week. The investors are getting concerned. Let them be concerned." Jessica hesitated in the doorway. She'd worked for Alex for 5 years and had never seen him like this. "Sir, if you don't mind me saying, you seem different since your accident. Maybe you should see a doctor about that head injury." Alex finally turned around, and Jessica was startled by what she saw. Gone was the polished, confident CEO she knew. This man looked tired, conflicted, almost haunted. "Schedule a meeting with the Highland Plaza team," he said quietly. "But not a review meeting." "A cancellation meeting. I'm sorry, sir." "Did you say cancellation?" "You heard me correctly." Within an hour, the Highland Development boardroom was in chaos. 12 board members sat around the mahogany table, all talking at once, while Alex stood at the head of the table looking calm for the first time in weeks. "Alexander, you can't be serious," said Robert Chen, the company's longest-serving board member. "Highland Plaza is our biggest project this year. We've already invested millions in permits and planning, and we'll lose millions more if we continue," Alex replied. "I've spent the last 2 weeks researching the Maplewood neighborhood. Do you know what we're actually destroying? Old buildings that aren't generating sufficient revenue," said Patricia Wells, the company's financial director. "That's literally why we're redeveloping the area." "We're destroying a community," Alex said firmly. "Corner Cafe has been serving that neighborhood for 30 years. Mrs. Garcia gets her coffee there every morning before taking the bus to her cleaning job at the hospital. Tommy Wilson saves his allowance money to buy cookies there after school because his parents work 2 jobs and can't always afford treats. The local book club meets there every Thursday because it's the only place in the neighborhood with enough space." The board members exchanged uncomfortable glances. This wasn't the Alexander Harrison they knew, the one who made decisions based purely on numbers and profit margins. "Alexander," Robert said carefully, "while that's all very heartwarming, we have a responsibility to our shareholders. Sentiment doesn't pay dividends. Neither do failed projects in communities that hate us," Alex shot back. "When did we become the kind of company that destroys people's lives for profit?" "We became that kind of company," Patricia said coldly, "when we decided to be successful instead of a charity organization." "Success doesn't have to mean cruelty." The room fell silent. Finally, Robert leaned back in his chair. "Alexander, I think your accident affected you more than we realized. Maybe you should take some time off. Let us handle the Highland Plaza project." "No." Alex's voice was steel. "I'm still CEO of this company, and I'm telling you, Highland Plaza is canceled. We're going to find a different approach to developing the Maplewood area, one that includes the community instead of destroying it." "And if we refuse to support this decision?" Patricia asked. "Then you can explain to the shareholders why you forced out a CEO over a project that would have generated negative publicity and community backlash. In case you haven't noticed, corporate responsibility is trending. Companies that destroy communities don't exactly get positive media coverage these days." Meanwhile, across town, Lily was discovering just how difficult it was to find work when your main job reference was about to close down. She'd been to 6 job interviews in 2 weeks, and each one felt more hopeless than the last. Most places wanted experience she didn't have or were offering wages too low to support herself and Grandma Rosa. Worse, her grandmother's health was declining. The stress of potentially losing their home had triggered Rosa's anxiety, which was affecting her heart condition. The medication she needed was expensive, and without the insurance from Mr. Patterson's cafe job, Lily didn't know how she'd afford it. "Mia," Grandma Rosa said one evening as they sat in their small living room, "you've been so sad since your friend left. Maybe you were too hard on him." "He lied to me, Grandma, about everything." "Did he lie about caring for you?" Lily paused in folding laundry. "What do you mean?" "I watched him with you, Nieta. I saw how he looked at you when you weren't paying attention. That wasn't the look of a man who was pretending. It doesn't matter how he looked at me. He's still the one destroying our lives. Rosa was quiet for a moment. When your grandfather first asked me to marry him, I said no. What? You never told me that. He was from a different social class than our family. His parents had money, land, education. My parents cleaned their house. Rosa smiled at the memory. I thought he was just playing with the poor girl for entertainment. I was so angry, so proud. I told him to stay with his own kind. But you changed your mind. Only after he proved he was willing to give up his family's approval to be with me. Only after he showed me that love was more important to him than money or status. Rosa reached over and took Lily's hand. Sometimes we judge people by the world they come from instead of the person they choose to be. Lily wanted to argue, but something in her grandmother's gentle wisdom made her pause.
Had Alex really been pretending during those days at the cafe?
She remembered his genuine surprise at simple pleasures, his amazement at the neighborhood's sense of community, the way he'd talked about feeling trapped in his old life. But before she could think too deeply about it, there was a knock at the door. Mr. Patterson stood outside, looking more confused than she'd ever seen him. Lily, the strangest thing just happened, he said, stepping inside. I got a call from Highland Development. They're canceling the plaza project. What? Lily's heart stopped. Are you serious? Not only that, they want to meet with all the local business owners to discuss a different kind of development plan. Something that keeps existing businesses and adds new ones. They're calling it community integrated development or something like that. Lily sank into a chair, her mind racing. Did they say why they changed their minds? The representative said their CEO had a change of heart after getting to know the neighborhood better. Mr. Patterson paused, studying Lily's face. You don't think your friend Alex had anything to do with this, do you? I mean, I know he said he used to work in an office. Before Lily could answer, there was another knock. This time it was Dr. Martinez from the Community Health Clinic. Miss Rodriguez, I have some good news about your grandmother's medications. An anonymous donor has set up a fund to cover medical expenses for elderly residents in the neighborhood. Mrs. Rosa qualifies for full coverage. Lily felt like the world was spinning. Who's the donor? I'm not allowed to say, but they specified that the fund should help families affected by recent development concerns in the area. After Dr. Martinez left, Lily sat in stunned silence. Community integrated development, anonymous medical funds, a CEO who'd had a change of heart after getting to know the neighborhood. Grandma Rosa, she said slowly, what if I was wrong about Alex? What if he really is trying to make things right? Her grandmother smiled knowingly. What if he is, mija? What are you going to do about it? For the first time in 2 weeks, Lily felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the man she'd fallen for had been real after all. Maybe Alexander Harrison was learning to be the person Alex had shown her he could become. But if that was true, then she owed him an apology. And more than that, she owed him a chance to explain. 3 days later, Lily found herself standing outside the Highland Development Building, feeling completely out of place. The glass towers stretched endlessly above her, filled with people in expensive suits who probably made more in a month than she made in a year. But she'd made up her mind. She needed to see Alexander, and find out the truth. The security guard at the front desk looked at her casual clothes and worn sneakers with obvious suspicion. I'm sorry, miss, but Mr. Harrison is in meetings all day. Do you have an appointment? No, but it's important. Could you just tell him that Lily is here? From the cafe? The guard's expression softened slightly, but he still shook his head. Mr. Harrison has given strict instructions not to be disturbed today. The board is, well, let's just say there's been some tension lately. Lily's heart sank. She'd worked up all her courage to come here, and now she couldn't even get past the lobby. She was about to turn and leave when she heard a familiar voice. Lily? She turned to see Jessica, Alex's assistant, stepping out of the elevator. The woman looked surprised but not unwelcoming. I was hoping to see Alex, Mr. Harrison, Lily said awkwardly. Jessica glanced around the busy lobby, then made a decision. Follow me. But quickly. They rode the elevator to the 40th floor in silence. Lily's palms were sweating, and she couldn't stop thinking about what she was going to say. Sorry for calling you a parasite. Sorry for not believing you cared about me. Sorry for judging you before I knew the whole story. He's been different since that day, Jessica said quietly as they walked down the carpeted hallway. More human, I guess. The whole company's been turned upside down because of the changes he's making. What kind of changes? Canceling profitable projects, setting up community funds, completely changing how we do business. Half the board thinks he's lost his mind. Jessica paused outside a large oak door. But I think maybe he finally found it. She knocked softly. Mr. Harrison, there's someone here to see you. I said no interruptions, Jessica. I think you'll want to see this person. There was a pause, then footsteps. The door opened and Lily found herself face to face with Alex for the first time in 3 weeks. He looked tired, older somehow, but when he saw her, his entire expression transformed. Lily, he breathed, as if he couldn't believe she was real. They stared at each other for a long moment, 3 weeks of hurt and confusion hanging in the air between them. Can we talk? Lily asked softly. Alex nodded, stepping back to let her into his office. It was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view of the entire city. But Lily barely noticed the luxury. All she could focus on was the man standing nervously by his desk, the same man who'd slept on her couch and learned to make the perfect cup of coffee. I heard about Highland Plaza being canceled, she said finally. And the medical fund? And the new development plan? Alex looked down at his hands. I couldn't undo what happened between us, but I could try to undo the damage my company was going to cause. Why? Lily asked. Why risk your job, your reputation, everything you've worked for? Because you were right, Alex said simply. About all of it. I was living in a bubble, making decisions about people's lives without caring about the consequences. I'd forgotten that behind every building we tear down, every business we close, there are real people with real stories. He walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Do you know what I thought about most after you threw me out of your life? It wasn't losing you, though that nearly killed me. It was Mrs. Garcia. Mrs. Garcia. You mentioned her that day. How she gets coffee every morning before taking the bus to work. And I realized I was about to destroy the one bright spot in that woman's day, so I could add another few million to the company's profits. I was about to take away Tommy's cookie money and Mr. Patterson's legacy in your dreams. Also, some shareholders could buy bigger yachts. Lily felt tears stinging her eyes. Alex? I know you probably can't forgive me for lying about who I was, he continued, not looking at her. But I need you to know that everything I felt with you was real. Those days at the cafe, sleeping on your couch, listening to your grandmother's stories, that was the most authentic I'd ever been in my life. Then why didn't you tell me the truth? Alex finally turned to face her, and she could see the pain in his eyes. Because I was a coward. Because I knew that if you found out who I really was, you'd look at me exactly the way you did that day, like I was everything wrong with the world. And you were, Lily said honestly. At least the old you was, but not anymore. Lily took a deep breath. My grandmother told me something the other day. She said we should judge people by who they choose to be, not where they come from. And the person you're choosing to be now, that's the man I fell in love with. The words hung in the air between them. Alex's eyes widened, hope flickering across his face. You fell in love with me? With the man who helped customers at the cafe like they were family? With the man who fed stray cats and listened to an old woman's stories and saw beauty in simple things? Lily stepped closer. The question is, was that man real or was he just playing a part? He was real, Alex said intensely. He's still real. In fact, he's the only part of me that feels real anymore. They were standing close now. Close enough that Lily could see the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability that he'd learned to show her. The board wants to fire me, Alex said quietly. They think I've lost my business sense. Have you? I've lost my taste for profit without purpose, if that's what you mean. I want to build things that matter, not just things that make money. Then maybe being fired wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen to you. Alex smiled for the first time since she'd arrived. You know, a month ago that thought would have terrified me. Now it almost sounds liberating. What would you do if they did fire you? I have some ideas. There's this neighborhood I know that could use a business consultant, someone to help local entrepreneurs get their dreams off the ground. The pay wouldn't be much, but the work would matter. Lily's heart swelled. That neighborhood wouldn't happen to need a small bakery, would it? Funny you should mention that. I happen to know an investor who's very interested in supporting local food businesses, especially ones run by talented women with family recipes that make people cry they're so good. This investor sounds like someone I should meet. I think you already have. They were both smiling now. the hurt and anger of the past 3 weeks melting away, but there was still something Lily needed to say. Alex, I'm sorry too. I said horrible things to you that day. I was hurt and scared, but that doesn't excuse how cruel I was. You weren't cruel. You were honest. And you were right about most of it. Not about you being a parasite. That was wrong. Well, Alex said with a grin, I was definitely parasitic on your couch for a week. Lily laughed despite herself. That was different. You were injured. I was lost, Alex corrected. And you found me. He reached for her hands, and this time she didn't pull away. Lily, I know I have a lot to prove. I know saying sorry isn't enough. But if you're willing to give me a chance, I want to spend the rest of my life being the man you helped me remember I could be. What about the board? Your career? Let them fire me. I'd rather be unemployed with you than successful without you. Lily looked into his eyes and saw her future there. Not a fairy tale where a rich man rescued a poor girl, but a partnership between two people who brought out the best in each other. Well, she said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him softly, I suppose we should start planning that bakery then. And the community development project. And maybe a life together. Is that a yes? That's a yes to all of it. As Alex wrapped her in his arms, Lily realized that sometimes the best love stories aren't about finding someone perfect, but about finding someone willing to grow, to change, to become better for love. And sometimes, the most beautiful endings are really just the beginning of something even more wonderful.